I absolutely love an mATX build, especially for the entry to sort of mid-level of gaming. And the CC360 is an incredibly nice way to get the job done. Good afternoon and welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, I'm Reese of the 4-piece variety Walkie Triple XL. And yes, to my left, we have the center of the show is this CC360. It comes in at a whole $1,000, triple nine, with that R1 off discount for this with the three actually, 120mm fans. There's two at the front and then one at the back with RGB built into the case, as well as an output for your addressable header, and just a very decent overall layout with like 3.5 inch at least HDD support, and with a couple for 2.5 inch SSDs, and then some water cooling spacing. Actually very interesting water cooling spacing that this case has that others don't. So as per usual, let's go through what's in the box. You get a case and you get some screws for your case, one thing they do include in that pack, actually just give me 1 sec.
12 seconds later.
The most important thing included in this pack of screws, because you got to have stuff to fit it and motherboard standoff spares, etc, etc. But this as a spare to have is like, this is hen's teeth right here that you're looking at. Because these are for water cooling blocks, for holding fans at least onto water cooling blocks. And they give you a bunch of spares. They give you like 8 extras. So if you need to do a push-pull setup on your radiator, then you'll be able to do that, won't you? And that's really the idea with this case, is just giving you the capacity to put in bigger cooling than you would expect with a case of this kind of dimension. So if we look up front, you'll see that there's 2 channels or 2 tracks laid out there for you to install fans. With the 2 120mm installed, you'll see there's an outer track. That's because you can do 2 140s on this. I believe you can do 3 120s up front as well, which is pretty sick. And then the top has the exact same setup, where if you peel back this very nicely magnetically attached piece of mesh, you'll see that there's once again double tracks, and then you can do a 120 and a 140 up top as well setup. So, and that's really the way that this case has been dimensioned and set up. You might have noticed as well, just looking at with the build inside, that there's extra space over there. That's because they intend for you to be able to do a top mount radiator. So it's a mATX case, but with dimensioning for bigger cooling. Around the back, you're not going to see too much fanciness going on. There's just 2 3.25 inch drive bays on the bottom left, which is really nice to have, because spinning disk is still the best way to get like a huge amount of long-term storage. So yeah, at least you can put 2 3.5 inch HDDs in there, but a bunch of 2.5 inch spaces as well for more SSDs is really nice to have. Around the back, also nothing really to report, nothing amazing going on at the back. It's very, very standard. But underneath, you're going to see even more mesh being laid out over there. That's because they have dimension as well. Space for you to put 2 120mm fans at the bottom over here. So that mesh is to allow obviously airflow, not only for the power supply, but for those 2 then as well. So yeah, Deepcool, cool by name and very cool by nature. That's the idea with the build over here. And that is a nice segue into testing. We're putting it up against our existing build in the MB311L, the existing case that we have, but I have updated that with quite a lot more expensive fans. Yeah, the case itself is like 400 Rand more expensive than this, just as a precursor, but then it's got sickle flow fans in it, which are, let's just say, exceptional. They're about like, I think that fan pack is like 800 or 900 Rand kind of thing on top. So it's like getting close to double the price of this case. So you'd expect this to be half as good in performance. But as we'll see with the normalized fan test, where I put the fans at the absolute lowest that they could go, it was within spitting distance of the performance of that case. So yeah, because this is why I say get mATX with a decent air cooler like this for most of the mid-range kind of, I'd even say up to like a 4070, like a 180 watt kind of draw GPU. It's going to be very at home in this sort of space. That's exactly what we've got here with the RX 7600. But when I increase the fan curve slightly on these to 75% with no audible noise, that's where they still are. There's no noise coming from these. And the airflow improvements saw that Cinebench score then improve. And obviously, for posterity's sake, we ran a Firestrike stress test on that to make sure that it was then still keeping their performance for the GPU, and it was absolutely happy. 0.1% is basically nothing in it. And then the actual score from Firestrike run was actually quite comparable there once again. So is this a good budget case? Clearly. I mean, full mesh up front. It does have that centerpiece that's blocked off. I would like to see that with just the standard punched out square type of format that they've carried through over their branding. That's about the only thing I would see changed on this case. But the fact that for $1,000 you get a full glass side panel case that you can put water cooling in the north area over here and keep that out of the loop of the rest of the cooling of your PC. Because never forget that this air that's coming in the top is going to feed straight in there. So if you put an extra 120mm up front, that's going to service that absolutely perfectly. And Evetech and Deepcool do sell 3-fan packs. If you want to upgrade or add to this, it will be very easy to do so. And you can get the 5-fan pack with the RF kit, which is these, but a little bit better in like every single regard, and especially with regards to airflow and RGB. These are the very entry-level fans from Deepcool, but they still do an exceptionally good job. They're still doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And as advertised, and the fact that I can control them from the motherboard with regard to RGB and the speed, it's just really, really nice to have. Overall, this is what I would see you guys buying, honestly, for this kind of level. If you're looking at an RX 7600 build, or like even RTX 4060 with like a 5700X, there's that upgrade kit that literally has this exact motherboard inside of it with the 240mm water cooling. Grab one of these cases, because then you can put it in the put the water cooling up top. Most of the time they do come with Deepcool AIOs as well, so it'll be all homogeneous in the system. And then this is a lot lighter and easier to move around. The heaviest part of this is the 850 watt gold PSU in the basement. This has a 2 TB or 1 TB NVMe on board, which is more than enough for most gaming requirements and stuff these days, minus Call of Duty. We won't talk about that, but in general, this is what I would prefer to see you guys building as well, because it's much easier, or the airflow is much more effective in this kind of space. And the dimensioning of this is basically perfect. And you're gonna just save a bunch of bucks on like otherwise space that you wouldn't be actually using or needing. So yeah, we like this. It's a good budget option. It's the bang for buck is incredible. One thing I've got to cover was the top AIO. I'm sorry, it's late to party, but it's still here, okay? If we look at the top AIO, you've got a USB 3 input, a normal USB 2, the LED button, which you can repurpose to being a reset button as well. But if you don't have onboard RGB support, then you can still control it from the case, which is kind of nice. And then obviously a nice big power button. So even that's nicely laid out, and I love the blue accent on the USB. It just makes it all very uniquely Deepcool, and that's something that I'm very happy that they've done, is that in general their product is quite unique. It is standout, and yeah, bang for buck considerations on these is exceptional. I'm a personal user of it. I bought a CH510 after I reviewed it because I was looking for a larger case, because I've got, you know, quite a lot of larger components and stuff that I needed to get in something with very good airflow, and it's like having an open air case that as well. So, you know, Deepcool's on the money. They continue to just produce really good product, and that's all I really have for you. So if you have enjoyed this review, please do hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side.